a lot of times me like trying to pick up clues for these answers to questions no one really asked. It's me asking the questions, and a lot of times these questions don't have answers. And so a lot of the times that is my practice, trying to find solutions for things that might not have solutions. So my name is Mariam AlZayani. I'm a Bahraini-American artist and designer. I graduated from the American University of Sharjah with a bachelor's in visual communication, which is a serious way of saying graphic design. I like to think that I always had an affinity for making. When I was younger, I think I wanted to be an inventor. So my playtime consisted of me trying to combine these different objects that I found, trying to come up with a new object that had a new function. Most of the time ended up failing and coming back later. And so I think that curiosity has sort of stayed with me, more like child's play with an adult mind. And so I'm always curious about the world. I think everything starts off as an observation that then goes directly into my notes. So I would say my practice is pretty sporadic. Everything starts off as an observation of the world around me, what I find interesting, what I find funny most of the time, things that I find absurd. I think my art practice is teetering on the line of absurdity and humor most of the time, with a sprinkle of impermanence. So I guess that's what I sort of look at when I'm observing the world around me. With my practice, I guess I leave everything up to coincidence. So whatever my ritual is that day will feed into the art, I think. I believe a lot in timing, so when things line up, I just let them be. So I love coffee. I love to start my day off with coffee. Some would say too much coffee, but I guess that does feed into my practice, where my mind is just running like 1,000 kilometers a second, which I guess is pretty telling about my practice as an artist and as a designer as well. Everything is very spur of the moment, but I feel with art, and me trying to blur the line between design and art, with art is a bit more subjective. You can play a lot more with the truth, and you can play a lot more with reality than design can. Design, there's more of a one solution, whereas in art, you can sort of play around with that and what that solution actually is. Maybe it's not a solution at all. So I think it's pretty hard to research coincidences, so I let things just be. A lot of the time it's me going back into my notes and reading about all the observations I had made, be it the past week, month, year. It becomes like an archive, I guess, of my mindset at the moment, and so I sort of go through all of those things and I see where the research takes me. Again, the research most of the time takes me down rabbit holes, and I end up being in long tangents with myself. But at the end of the day, I think when you leave something up to coincidence, something beautiful comes out of that. And leaving it up to what you actually find, to let it be what it needs to be, is something that I do a lot in my practice. My studio space is everything, I think. It's my notes app, it's my mind, it's my car, it's a conversation I have with a friend. Anything that is me being in that mindset of wanting to create, I think, becomes my studio space. Currently, it's now taking place at the Seif Studios, where my work is coming to rest here. Again, when it comes to observation, everything around me feeds into the work that I do. I like to take the mundane and sort of rework it in a way where I can present it back to people and give them an idea of how I view the world. I think there's a lot of absurdity around us that goes unnoticed. So wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, I think I'm just constantly taking in everything around me in order to feed into the work that I do. So yeah, in a way, I'm presenting reality back to you. Especially coming from my previous practice, which is dealing with very much smaller objects, you have a lot more freedom to play with reality. Whereas now with much larger and over sort of encompassing space, you get to be fully engrossed into the artwork, whereas before it was mostly just moments of time that sort of pop up, but now it's being fully engrossed within a space where time doesn't necessarily keep you on track, or time doesn't necessarily exist, or it exists in all different ways.